Hey, how's it going? Dylan here. Today I'm going to be talking about Steven Spielberg's new movie, Ready Player One. Alright, so I finally went and saw Ready Player One today, and I'm going to get it off my chest straight away that it definitely didn't meet my expectations. Maybe it was overhyped, maybe it wasn't, I don't know, but fairly enjoyable film. Obviously it's based on the book Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, and the movie stars Ty Sheridan, Ben Mendelsohn, a bunch of others, even T.J. Miller, like a bunch of people, well-known people, and follows the main character, who's played by Ty Sheridan, who is goes into this like VR world that everyone goes into in the future, and basically, super basic premise. Most people know the premise by now. He has to kind of solve 3 mysteries or mazes or challenges in the VR to end up owning the Oasis, which is the program, because the creator died and he left these challenges. Yeah, that was a really weird explanation, but anyway, most people know that by now. The book was very popular. My wife read it. I didn't read it myself, so I went in very blind, and I found it was enjoyable. Spielberg movie. It has a ton of references. Thing is, obviously, they did switch out a lot of the references from the book, from what I've heard from my wife. My wife's view that there's a lot more 80s references in the book, 80s and 70s references, whereas, so it's more like arcade references, gaming and things like that, whereas the movie obviously adds in a ton, like a literal ton of pop culture references, brand new stuff, old stuff, all over. And it's a feast for the eyes, definitely. The one other thing as well that my wife has said is that the actual simulation in the book leads you to believe that it's very realistic looking, whereas in the movie they kind of went for an obviously CG looking environment to differentiate the real world and the VR world, which I wasn't 100% sold on in the trailers, but I thought it worked out alright in the actual film. The action here is really well done, like visually, when it wants to look realistic it does, and there's a few really cool pop culture references in there that I really enjoyed. The film, I think, was rated PG-13 in the US, and that means they get one F word, and they use that really well. I was really happy with the way they ended up using that. There's also a sequence to do with the Shining movie, and it was really well done, and I had a smile on my face that whole sequence. The film itself is decent. Pretty good performances, pretty good action, pretty good cinematography, mostly anamorphic, but obviously most of the film is actually CG, so it doesn't really matter much. And Ben Mendelsohn, as usual, does his normal bad guy thing. He was okay in this. I kind of enjoyed his performance, but it seems like he's kind of getting typecast a lot. Getting typecast a lot recently as a bad guy. So he was a bad guy in Rogue One, which I really liked, and quite a few things he's been villain in, kind of, ever since his role in Bloodline, basically. And yeah, who really stole the show for me? Definitely Mark Rylance. He plays the creator of the Oasis, and he's really good in this. I really love everything Mike Rylance does. I really liked Bridge of Spies from him and Spielberg. That was really good, and I love his characters, as well as him in Dunkirk as well. He's just a really quirky actor, and he has a really quirky character in this movie, which is cool. If you were casting this, you probably wouldn't think of him straight away to do this role, which I was pretty happy about. Things I wasn't as happy with, probably a lot of the references and the way the game culture is represented is kind of that modern game culture. So, you know, your clans and your kind of FPS talk and things like that, that's cool. At times it felt like, to me, that came off a bit cringy, like, well, to me at least, because obviously I used to play a lot of that stuff, and it kind of just didn't come off quite right. Just felt a little cringy, a little cheesy, or forced, I guess you could say. Yeah, that's a better word. In general, though, it doesn't suffer from the same thing as, even though most of this film is CG, it doesn't suffer from like the DC phenomenon where everything goes mushy CG in the third act. There is a CG battle in the third act of this film, but For the most part, it felt pretty good, pretty fresh, mainly because that's switching between that and the real world. So you get that difference, and it doesn't feel like the stakes are as high. That's the other thing that I had a problem with this film. It didn't feel like the stakes were actually that high. I didn't really see any really threatening situations in the real world side of things where people could be killed or anything like that. Like, very minimal. But there's one scene in particular where it is, and for the most part it feels like they kind of just went for more friendly to younger audiences a little bit as well. So like there's no real super high stakes in the real world for most of the film. There's one section in the middle where there is, but even near the end there's not that much of a big deal. One person has a gun, but nothing really happens. So I was a bit disappointed there. Like, it could be a little bit deeper, but I know this film kind of targets everyone. So to be honest, it didn't feel like a Spielberg-y film, really. It just felt like nothing really stood out about it. So I'm going to give Ready Player One a 7 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on a bit about Ready Player One. And if you don't agree with me, leave a comment. If you do agree with me, let me know in the comments as well. And I'm always open for discussion on Twitter. Follow me on the links below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. And as always, take care. Till next time.